and you do it through Google that way. It's no, you don't do it through Google. You do it through YouTube that way. So you have to then put the link of the file into the equipment. Blah blah blah. I haven't fully investigated it because Google Hangouts has just been so easy to use.
Fair enough.
Easy.
I was very disappointed the other day to learn that YouTube have changed the rules now, and unless you've got 1,000 subscribers, you can't go live from a mobile device.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
YouTube. Yeah,
wow.
It's a real pain. I was out on site doing a site inspection for the treasure hunt, and I was this will be great to just YouTube live it, and it's like denied.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, they don't want to support services unless you got the numbers there. That sucks. Well, hey, we've actually gone live. Yeah, just thought I'd just hit the broadcast button. I don't know what point we came in at. So if you're here, it's good to have you here. My name's Dave Adams, and this is Paul. I'll say it.
Adams. Sorry. We should practice.
We should. Well, we could practice it.
Nah.
But you know, it's all about the au natural feel, isn't it?
Raw.
That's right. It's raw.
It's raw.
Oh dear. Well, we're just going to catch up. Actually, you mentioned the treasure hunt. That's something you're working on at the moment, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes.
You want to talk a little bit about that? What's happening there?
Sure.
Like an actual treasure hunt. Is this for? Who's it for?
So the treasure hunt is going to end up being a part of our theatre show in the September school holidays. So part of what we're doing with that is rather than just throw a theatre show out there, I want to make it more of an experience for the audience. And so we're actually creating a whole external experience to the theatre. So there'll be the theatre show inside the theatre, but before and after the show, parents and families can turn up and play in have a go at the treasure hunt and win a couple of little prizes. But we've also got a bunch of sort of, I guess, what you could call county fair style games that we're building, because in the courtyard outside the theatre, there is actually this like massive set of terraces, which are just really spectacular, actually. So we're setting up a range of games on there and some other activities for some of the smaller kids, like painting pots and planting seeds. So everything's themed to the theatre show. And so the treasure hunt that we're building, we need to test it. And that's what we're doing on Wednesday next week out at the venue. So we're actually going to be out at the Seven Hills Hub at 10 a.m. Wednesday morning so that we can have people come down and test out our treasure hunt and tell us if it's too easy, too hard, does it work, that kind of thing.
So you say country style fair stuff. So you're talking things like knock down the pins.
That's exactly what it is.
Prize.
Yeah, so the show is Adventures of Peter Rabbit. So everything is very rabbit/carrot/garden themed. So essentially what we're building is kind of Mr. McGregor's garden. And on the terraces, we'll have some knockdown carrots and possibly some fox heads. And you throw little beanbag things at them and knock them over. And there'll be 3 different levels of difficulty. So the small kids can have a bit of an easier run at the bottom level. Middle level be a bit harder. Top level for parents and the older kids be even harder. We're looking at having a leaderboard. So if you score really well, we might do some kind of timed challenge so that people can come through and, score the most amount of points in a minute, or score as many points as you can in a minute, or just something like that, just so we can add a little bit of a competition element to it. So that'll be one. The other one will be, those football shows, those sports broadcasts.
We're so prone to watching.
Yeah, but, on the footy show and stuff like that, they've got those round hole targets that they toss the footballs through. It's like an accuracy kind of skill tester for football players, and they use that to practice passing. So we're actually creating bunny-shaped heads with big mouths cut out that you've got to throw carrots through. So that'll be a
All
second
right.
one. Yeah, up on the terrace. And then the third one is essentially just like a giant ring toss. So we'll have big carrots growing out of the ground, and you'll get probably like a hula hoop, and you got to try and hook the carrot. So
Nice. So you're not going to go with the full Peter Rabbit movie experience
I've actually not watched the
and
movie.
have
Oh, you've blacked. I don't know where you've gone. Are you there?
an allergy
No,
and throw. Are you back?
I missed all of
Gotcha.
that. Your screen went black.
Ah, okay. Oh, really? Funny. Yours did too. I wonder what that looked like.
Were you there?
Yeah.
From this end, you were gone. Was I gone from that end?
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, it doesn't matter. As long as we're
you were
both back.
waxing.
Oh yeah, I was just saying we go on the full Peter Rabbit movie experience and having a face of someone with a blueberry allergy and throwing blueberries into their mouth. Is that
Look, similar style.
yeah.
Similar style. So there'll be big cutout heads of rabbit heads with the mouths open so you can throw the carrots into the mouths.
Groovy. Actually, because we had our my daughter had a school fair at just last weekend, and I tell you what, like we went there. I mean, we went there with a little bit of money to try and throw at the school so that they can we want to support them. It's all a fundraiser.
Yeah.
But they had a whole bunch of those sorts of stalls. They had the giant head where you can pick the nose for a prize. That was a really gross one. But they had things like the old chocolate on a bed with on sort of wire that you throw if your dollar coin lands on the chocolate and stays there, you win the chocolate. Which I think we lost like $8 on or something, and still no chocolate. We had the duck picking, fishing for a duck sort of thing.
Duck, yep.
Yep. The one I liked was the frog flipping. They had some toy frog on a contraption. You hit the thing and it launches the frog into a bucket. And I tell you what, like $1 a go, $2 a go, we spent a fair whack of money, and we had a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, great.
So that stuff, it was good to see that stuff still works, that it still engages.
Yeah,
I mean, you can look at it and think,
here is we're going to have all of that there for people that have purchased a ticket, so it's all built into the ticket price.
Okay, so it all comes with the actual price. It's not like
it's
not additional cost on top of it.
Not for people that have bought a ticket to the show. We're thinking that we'll probably create another income stream out of it for people that just rock up. So we'll make people pay if they want to play, because it's all about actually generating an income, not just about creating a show. But
yeah, strange that.
Yeah, but for people that are actually purchased a ticket to the theatre show, it'll be part of their ticket price. We may have to put the ticket price up next year. I think I may have underpriced it a little bit this year, where we're coming in at the very, very low end for a theatre ticket, and then to have all this stuff on top of it. But the whole idea was to really value pack the ticket price, so people felt like there was really good value in it.
So what are you coming in at with the ticket price then?
Sorry?
So what are you coming in with at the ticket price then?
Tickets for the show in September will be $24. So
$24. So that gets them a show, which I'm assuming for a kid's show is about an hour.
Hour long, yeah.
An hour long, yeah. And then you've also got additional family stuff happening in between that.
Either side of it. So all up, the whole idea of it came from trying to extend the experience for families. So it wasn't just rock up, see a show, go home. There's all this other stuff that you can do that just gives you more of a shared experience with your family. So that's where it all kind of came from, and the idea was born from that desire to extend the experience beyond the four walls of the theatre. So yeah, I think it's gonna go well. I just think we may have underpriced it in year one, and like even if we put the ticket price up by $10, we're actually still going to be way cheaper than most other theatres. So I don't want to go that far, but it might.
Oh yeah,
might have to be $20 next year. But for this year, $24. It's all included in the price. It's going to be good value.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of the kids stuff that we've been to, I think we've been to see Grug, which is a great puppet, like the puppet performance. That was really good. But well, we've seen Play School. We've seen a few kids plays and things. They're still around the 50 to 80 mark, easy.
Yeah. Well, and look, the thing that comes with that is you've got to pay for the venue, and you've got to, you're going into some of those venues, and there's a lot higher what you call production value. There's a lot more lights and AV design. You're paying a few more people and that sort of thing. Because we're doing it at a local venue, it's still going to look good, but we don't have quite so much the overhead. So, we'll see how it goes, and the goal is to not lose money.
Yeah. That's really hard to do with live theatre, though, isn't it? Like that's.
Well, yeah, I think historically it has been, but I think my personal take on it, and it's the reason that I'm approaching things in the way that I am, is that I think people have come at it from an artistic perspective and not applied the business perspective to it that needs to go with it in order for you to focus on the ability to make income from it. We don't expect to become millionaires out of this show, but I do want people to walk away. We're doing it as a profit share venture just because it's a test. We don't know how it's going to go or anything like that. But the focus is that it's not just about creating a show. I've come at it from the same perspective of, I guess, like an online marketer or, any kind of standard business that, I want to think about it as though we're providing a service to an audience. And what is that service? And that service came out of the idea that parents need something for their kids to do in the school holidays. So that's why we decided that we'd produce shows for families with primary school aged kids, and we'd produce in the school holidays. And so the shows will be running during the day, not at night, not on the weekend. They'll actually be running during the day in the school holidays. And that idea then, basically what I did was I went, cool, that's one show. So that's an hour on one day. How do we serve the parents beyond that 1 hour? That's where the idea about making it a bigger experience came from, of trying to extend the time that parents get to, have their kids out doing something fun and entertaining, but also to create that longer shared experience, also to create more value in the ticket price. So there's all of those reasons.
I'll tell you why that's important, because one of the big issues we're struggling with at the moment is we continually seem to be having, and I'm going to diverge a little bit and then come back to what you're talking about. In the board gaming industry at the moment, at least in Queensland, we can't seem to keep a board gaming cafe store open for longer than a year.
Wow.
We just everyone, like, they're really passionate and there are places to go and hang out. Even gaming stores, which are dedicated gaming stores, there's been very few that have had any longevity. And for the most part, my basic assessment of the situation is that a lot of these places are started by gamers who love gaming but aren't business people.
Yeah.
And just don't have any business sense about what to do or how to set this up or how to run it properly. And so they're all really excited about doing the gaming stuff, and they set up really great gaming environments, but they can't manage the business properly. And so they go bust, and everyone's like, oh, this is so tragic to see. Why aren't people supporting it? Well, people don't tend to support bad businesses. There was one that went bust recently.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't know about it until it went bust, and everyone went, oh, it's this store's closing down. Like, well, I didn't know about it, and I'm pretty involved.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I think that a lot of them probably go bust because they're actually not getting the word out about the fact that they exist. And this is the real thing that for me over the last few years has become the real focus. I mean, what you're talking about is a really common issue for artists as well, that people go into creating work, whether it's, for me, theatre or film, or visual artists who go and paint or sculpt or whatever, and they do it because they love it. We do it because it provides a sense of soul. We do it because we can't not do it. I mean, I guess that's the easiest way to phrase it.
Yeah.
But the minute you want to start making money out of it, you have to accept that you also need to embrace some of the skills that business people have. And we have to start applying some sort of learning to that side of the job of being an artist just as much as we would apply to learning the skills of our creativity. And not a lot of artists do that. I was lucky that I kind of didn't get into acting school the first time, well, the first two times I applied, and I ended up going into business, and I started a career. But even with that background, when I started creating work, I didn't apply my business skills to it. The first few shows I did, I ran at a loss because I wasn't thinking that way. And it wasn't until my wife came to me and went, "Can you please stop losing our money?" Then I went, "Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, actually, I should probably think different about that." I don't know why. I think it's a weird thing that becomes ingrained in us, and it's not like it's always been that way. You know, Shakespeare ran a very good business, and yes, he had a patron in the king, but that was how they made money back then. But yeah, I don't know what it is about creative people, or and anyone really that's got a passion that they want to turn into an income of some sort. We have to embrace marketing. We have to embrace that we need to learn a little bit of business skills around that. And I mean, that's why I started my channel, for that exact reason. So trying to share that. But so thanks for the segue.
Yeah, that's right. I just thought and I've noticed it a lot in the industry around us. I think most of it is like most nerds and most people in the board gaming, comic books, that I mean, they've got a genuine passion. The passion's there. Like they're passionate about the community. They're passionate about doing something different. And I don't think that it's a bad thing that they're not motivated by money. Like they don't mind that it doesn't.
I agree.
And
you can't go out being motivated by the money. But the reality is that, a business does one of two things. It makes money and sustains, or it doesn't and it dies. And
exactly.
It's just that simple. It's so binary. It's ridiculous that, and it's a skill. There are rules that work. And as much as sometimes for us as creators, a lot of people go, "Oh, business is the devil." It's like, actually, no. It's just a different approach, and it's an application of systems. Really, that's all it is. It's the fact that we don't want to have to actually feel like we're selling out to the man. I find it interesting that there's a lot of passionate people who don't push their skill down that line because they're actually guilty about taking money from other people who are passionate about the same thing.
Well, and when I think about like comic book stores, their main audience a lot of time is younger people who aren't necessarily out spending lots of money. Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, like we had a comic book store close again, just not far from us. I thought, oh, that's really sad. And I was, even before it was finished, I was thinking like, well, maybe I should at least go and pick up at least one monthly subscription to show my support. It was just so hard to get to them. Like they're in an ideal area of Chermside, but they're actually, you had to park well away and go across the road. So often you'd have to go and park in Chermside, and then walk all the way through Chermside and go out across the road. It's a lot of effort and it takes a lot of time. Like for me to go and pick up my monthly $5 comic would have been, like way more time than what I had to give.
Yeah, and they wouldn't post it to you?
I think they could post it to me, but by then I may as well just get it I may as well just subscribe. I may as well get an online order.
I mean,
I don't know if they would have posted it, but I just I wanted to support them, but it wasn't easy. It wasn't. Yeah. There was no easy solution to go on.
There are so many factors into having a brick and mortar store open that can make it go down. And location is important. They don't say location for nothing. That's really important. Having somewhere that's got good traffic flow, it's really important. Having somewhere that has low rent is really important. Maximizing the dollars that you're making out of the square footage that you're paying for is really important. So if you've got a little store that you're paying rent on, in today's community, setting up some kind of other activity, be it a monthly or a weekly event or something like that, that brings people together, that allows you to sell, maybe not even so many comic books that night. Maybe it's some, the snack foods or whatever that you buy in. But, it's that sort of idea of creating the community that brings people together to support it. And it might be that, you can maintain the brick and mortar store as a base of operations because you've actually automated a lot of stuff and you're able to get people to sign up online and get their comic books posted, or, if they've got a lot of time on their hands, take the postage money and then hand deliver it.
Yeah, well, and this might be an interesting issue as I'm, and I keep talking about all these places down, but Fast Break Sports, which was 20 years and under, and Paul did a great job, the guy that ran it, and I really loved it. That's where I first started playing Yu-Gi-Oh competitively, started building a community there. There are people who I met through there that I D&D with now on a fortnightly basis, and that's like over 10 years ago that I met them.
Wow.
Through the store. So I mean, it had a really big impact on the community and it was good, but I don't like he didn't really make enough for his retirement. Like he was able to sustain the business. One of the big factors for him was, one of the things you go to is these conventions like Supernova and Oz Comic Con. They are way expensive. In fact, they only ever barely scraped through on a profit every year they went, because it not only would it mean
good on
hiring. Yeah, lots of people don't make profit.
I work in events. I build.
Oh yeah, well that's right.
For them,
of course.
You see the prices people pay to have a 3x3 meter booth at one of those trade shows. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, and if you're selling $3 to $5 comic books, you got to sell a lot of comic books to make your money back. It's pretty expensive. So good on them for being able to profit there.
And you've got to stand around.
I miss that.
Well, that's right. And the hard part is you're there trying. I was saying the hard part is that you're not only there trying to sell these $5 comics and board games and whatever, but you're trying to stand out in the crowd where the whole convention is focused on trying to sell you the same stuff. Like they're all trying to sell the same thing.
Yeah. There's a couple of marketing.
Nerfenstein's Nerfenstein was just saying that it's so expensive to go to conventions, they keep putting up the prices. Nerfenstein would know. I know her daughter actually runs a store there. She's got a really successful Etsy, I think, business. I think it's Etsy. But she makes all these really cool nerdy pendants and things, and they are really great. But yeah, so she goes and sets up at OzComic Con and those places all the time.
Yeah, I think the thing to think about with those sorts of things is that you really need to go into them with a strategy. You really need to understand what it's doing for the long-term game for your business. So yeah, it might cost you $3,000 or $4,000 to set up a stall at one of those conventions. But why are you going there? What's the focus of you being there? And if you're going there knowing that it's an opportunity for you to get in front of an audience of people that you might not normally see, that might not know you exist, you've got a focused approach on how you're going to get get in front of people and how you're going to, bring people to your stand or leave your stand and go out and actually connect with people and grow your audience. Because if you can pick up 2 or 3 customers that become good regular customers, like you were saying before with the subscription, you're really looking at the lifetime value of that customer. And that might be $3,000 to $5,000 in one person over a course of 5 to 6 years or however long. And if that, then you can put it into the context of, understanding that if I can pick up 2 long-term subscribers, then it's actually made this convention, this one-off convention, a profit. But you need to your numbers. You need to get that.
Yeah, and I think the benefit for someone like for Nerfenstein's daughter, who I could probably put a link to, I suppose. She's there. Maybe Nerfenstein can put up a link for us, although I don't think I don't think the chat will allow links to go up. But maybe she can post the name of the business in case you're listening, Nerfenstein. If you can post the name of the business, that'd be good. But yeah, I think
put it in the description under this video once it goes.
Yeah, can do that. But the actual benefit, I think, for her, she doesn't actually have a physical store.
Yeah.
Because the one consideration that a lot of these brick and mortar places have to make when they're going to conventions is that they actually have to shut down the store for the weekend.
Exactly. Who's going to be watching the shop?
Yeah, no one, which is a lot of money lost on that end with the hope of making it up on this end. So they actually have to recoup all of the weekend's profits
Right.
before they can actually see any profit from the actual convention, which they've paid to be at.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hungry Designs. That's right.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That's the beauty of online. It really is. And that's why the world is going that way. It's why the retail sector has been in a massive decline for years now. And it's getting worse because most brick and mortar stores purely expect that a customer will see an ad on the TV, or see now that some of them are actually starting to get their head around using Facebook ads and that kind of thing. But they think that, an ad that promotes their business is going to be enough to draw people in. But people are over it. People live online now, and you have to have something either unique, like an IKEA, where it's a destination type store, or you have to have some kind of uniqueness about you that's going to bring people in. And I think, that's the other thing, is if you can create a real focus around either a particular niche and really become these are the people for this one thing, so that everybody gets to know you as the guy or the girl for that one thing. Or you build a movement around what you're doing. So the idea of having, competitions, card game competitions and that sort of thing, when the first few businesses started doing that as part of their engagement with their customers, they would have made a mozza. But then it becomes the standard thing, and they're a bit boring. So
I think the other thing to consider there is with just what along the lines of what you're saying, there is one thing that it's a contingency for all these brick and mortars that run these, like that do try to have competitions and things, is sometimes they're so dependent on how the gaming companies run their product as well. That if the company making the product, like if Magic the Gathering, if Wizards of the Coast does something that messes with Magic the Gathering, that we've seen this like throughout the years, is these businesses can lose a lot of business because people go, oh, I don't like that new rule, or I don't like this new way that they're structuring the game. So they pull out, and they sell off all their cards. And so now that company, the brick and mortar company, now loses business because of the decision that Wizards of the Coast made. Like it's a fragile industry sometimes. Very. And you're right. Like you have to, I think a lot of these places, if you want a brick and mortar store, rely on community. And so we were there for the community element. And it's a hard thing to build and sustain these days with, especially with internet being what it is. Like a lot of people do move to online communities more than anything.
But the flip side of that is that in some ways it actually makes it easier to manage, build and grow a community, because you have the ability to be your own TV station, your own radio station, your own magazine with the technology that we do have.
Well, that's a fair point too, and I think maybe Vault Games in the city has actually done a good job of that. They've started, they now run their own. They've sort of gotten on the wave of people doing online gaming, so they've created their own little tournament of Commander, which is it's a format for Magic the Gathering, and they play Commander, and so they have these hour and a half long Commander games which they post online. The guy that runs it does a really good job of putting the games together, and cool. He's really good with the animations and the graphics and the editing, and it's working for them. Like they get great views. I think it's a great advert for their company. He really works the online stuff a lot, so he then builds it into his communication with people on Facebook and Twitter. And yeah, I can see that's certainly one of the things that has got to be one of the reasons why they've lasted as long as they've had, and they've been around for a number of years now.
Yeah,
that how they've transitioned between what happens in store to building that online presence. So it makes a massive difference.
And I would suggest that they probably have a good marketing system in place that draws people from the online world into the store, and you're going online, offline constantly with people. So who knows? I don't know them, but
Oh yeah, yeah. No, he works a lot on that, so I can see that being a benefit. Um, I don't want to drag this out too long. Let's do a couple of quick things. What's your so other than that, what you been working on anything other than that?
no, big
Uh,
focus. Just trying to keep up to date with some content. My YouTube channel's not as regular as I would like, just because I'm 100% thrown into getting the play up and running for the September show. So obviously a lot to do there, because this is a brand new target market for me. And so there's a lot of time being spent on developing ads and developing content that's serving that particular target market, so that we can try and grow an audience for the September show before September, and just make it a little bit easier for the marketing later on down the track, the advertising down the track. But also just to show people that we actually are wanting to do more than just put on theatre shows. So
yeah,
a lot of time and effort being put into that. That's where the focus is at the moment.
yeah. I'm trying to I've been a bit slow on things too. I'm trying to work towards one of my goals for this year was to do a documentary style film, like to learn how to do documentary stuff. Not that I just wanted to. I just think it's a great skill, and I could cover stuff that I really enjoy. So I've got my topic now. I'm just starting the research and trying to put that together. And I've got to try and line up some interviews and do all that sort of thing, which will be fun.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I won't say what the topic is yet, because I want to actually put stuff together. But I've actually got I'm really keen for it. I'm really excited because it's giving me a bit of research to do. Plus, our school is school that I work at is starting esports. So yeah. So I'm actually, and we're partnering with QUT to do research into esports, which is a field that has like zero research in it. So kind of we're kind of groundbreaking in that our school system is actually one of the first in Australia to really catch on and create its own esports league.
Gonna be huge.
Huge. It's massive already. Like I don't understand why it's not getting picked up faster, to be honest. I mean, you can smell the money. Sorry?
Just in general, or in schools not getting picked up?
No,
faster?
I mean, like, this is you consider the NFL. I think NFL teams. A lot of the NFL teams have brought their own team esports teams. They're creating a league. You've got you're getting views on esports finals, which are getting more numbers than the Super Bowl. So, and I'm just like, how are people not seeing the business opportunity there and just wanting to jump on board and push it? Sorry?
Yeah. Some people are.
Yeah, some people are, but like it's been really slow to pick up in Australia. I'm half wondering if part of the lack of speed in picking up in Australia has to do with the lack of speed of internet in Australia. I just don't know that we've got the infrastructure for great.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it might, but I think traditionally Australia is not an early adopter. So in the
that's true.
Yeah, we're generally, as a nation, generally not early adopters, and so we will kind of wait and see what happens, or we don't really notice.
Yeah.
Then, it'll pick up at some point, but yeah.
So for me, the upside for that is that I'll actually be doing a research project myself this year on esports, with the intention of doing a more deeper research project next year, working with actual researchers. So it'll be a proper research project. We're going to look in this year. It's a baseline study. So I'm just looking at perceptions of what students think they get out of playing online games versus what the academics are saying. And then next year, the idea is to look more clearly into the issue of tilting, which is it's a gaming term that came from poker, actually.
Yeah,
it got picked up from poker.
I'm familiar with it in poker.
Yeah. So people get pushed to a point where they become really angry and they play worse than what they did before because of the because they get sort of put off their game, so to speak. Yeah, so the implications for learning there is that it is emotional regulation. So being able to identify what's happening and being in the moments, which is, you know, a lot of mindfulness studies are looking at the moment anyway, but also having the metacognitive skills to identify what's happening and employ strategies to reduce it, which wouldn't just be good for gaming, but will also be useful for people who experience a similar thing. And in neuroscience, it's called amygdala hijacking, which comes from, it's a Goldman term, who created EI, emotional intelligence.
Yep.
So the idea is that actually isn't just something that happens in gaming; it's something that happens a lot, and it can be applied in things like when students get amygdala hijacked in the classroom and they blow up at something, or they've got an exam coming up, or they're feeling the pressure at home with assignments and stuff going on. How can they then develop the metacognitive abilities to manage those situations? So we're hoping for it not to just be stuff that happens in gaming, but has general applications across the spectrum.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. So, I'm excited for it.
Are you going to use this leading towards like a master's, PhD, or anything like that?
I don't know if it'll be in this specifically, but I'm using it as a chance to get back into writing academically, because I write a lot. I write a lot for school, and a lot of casual writing. But schools that like my new job now has me writing regularly for the newsletter, so I'm doing lots of writing and trying to keep on top of that. But I write more reflective stuff, so it's not the academic, it's not the rigorous academic stuff of, you know, analyzing research, you know, summarizing, blah blah blah, critiquing, analyzing. So, but hopefully it'll lead to something. That's the plan. At least give me the ability to move back into some more academic stuff later. So yeah. That'll be good.
Love it.
Yeah. What you reading at the moment?
I've been writing, so I haven't really been reading a lot.
Oh, really? What are you writing?
The play.
Of course.
But a couple of books I have on the go at the moment. One of them is Think and Grow Rich, which is
okay,
an old book that I'm getting back to some of these classic kind of life skills and persuasion skills and that kind of stuff. I've not read them before. There's a bunch that I have read, but there's a whole bunch of the classics that I haven't read that I'm trying to find and read through just to get my head around those. So that's one, and another book on sales and advertising, just growing my knowledge in that.
Yeah, actually, I went and, because I've read a few different books, like from Dave Ramsey's on that topic, and I've done the Millionaire Next Door and those sorts of things, those seminal texts. I think there's a few classics I haven't gotten into. Actually, because of your video, the interview you did with that finance guy, they were.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of his name. What was his name?
Ben Murphy.
Okay. Yeah, I actually thought they were really good, and I went off and did some more flicking around, and it kind of got me thinking about the fact that, you know, I'm not intentional in a lot of my savings and spending and things, and it's probably to my deficit, because it's probably more from the fact that I find that stuff daunting and hard to deal. Sorry, what was that?
About it.
What's that?
Not being intentional with your savings and your money, there is no doubt that it is a problem. And
yes.
It's the same problem I had. Same problem most people have. You know.
Yes. So
people don't become millionaires by accident very often.
No, well, that's right. I actually watched an interview with, I'm trying to think of his name. He's really popular. He's a minimalist, but he makes really good vlogs. It's not coming to me right now, but he didn't. Yes.
Aveda,
Yes.
Bada, something like that.
It's sounding it's sounding around about right. I just went, yeah, I can't remember. But anyway, he did this interview with a guy who was like, the finance dude you talked to, who'd written this really popular book, and I went, oh, okay, I'll go check out the book. And so I've just literally finished that book, and it's something like the book's called. It's
I
kind of
will
got this,
rich,
yeah.
or I will teach you to be rich, or
I,
something.
I will teach you how to be rich. And I kind of went like, because I was listening to the interview and going, this interview is really good. It's really resonating well. It's getting me thinking and really convicting me about, stuff I should be doing. And when I saw the title of the book, I just went, why? Like, in no way, if I saw that title on its own without seeing the interview, I just would have went, nah, not interested. Another get rich book, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't realize what it was about. It was, it was actually about building wealth over time and learning to build proper habits. And I just thought the title was terrible.
But
I think it was more like,
terrible for you.
yeah,
Probably
true.
an excellent book to make it a #1 New York Times bestseller.
Well, come on, you can throw the New York Times bestseller list at me if you want. It's a fair point.
Picking the headline of your book is a massive thing about how it sells.
Yeah, all right. Okay, sorry, fine. So lots of people probably bought the book like a clickbaity title.
Yeah.
And then realize that, oh, this dude's actually teaching me long-term stuff about. So, but and I'm going through it, and I think it's the worst. I look at my situation. I go, this is it's a crappy situation. Single income, massive mortgage, which was fine when we had two incomes, but on one income, the mortgage is ridiculous. And so, but I now feel more decisive. I'm feeling more confident about the fact that even though I'm saving very little while there's only one of us working, I've still got a plan for the next 5-10 years, whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that stuff's really important.
I think the big thing that, I put a couple of things in place for myself. I know we're digressing now into a completely different topic, which would probably
it's just about what we're reading, seriously.
Yeah. But I think that I'm not a natural saver. I'm not. We didn't grow up with much money. If I got money, it was a massive deal for me, and I would go and buy things that I wanted. And I'm not a natural saver, and I had to force myself to do that. And so one of the ways that I did it was by actually changing my tax on my tax form so that more tax is taken out every fortnight, and I pay more in tax than I should. And it means I get a massive tax return back at the end of the year. And what's good about that is that you have to live to your means. You either choose to live on credit cards and go into more debt, or if you don't want to do that, you have to live to your means, and you get a bit more humble. You get a little bit more controlled. And that's a way to force it to happen.
Yeah.
Recently with the other reading I've been doing and changing a lot of habits, for the last 12 months or so, I've put a whole bunch of systems in place where the minute it hits my bank account, certain money goes straight into a savings account. It goes into an investment thing, and I'm left with what's left, and we make that work. But at the end of the day, we're paying off our debt. We're going to be out of debt probably in the next 12, 18 months at the rate that we're going. And then all of those payments become savings.
Yeah, that's true. I'm looking at much the same. It's sort of stuff that I really wish. I think part of the attitude that we grew up with was that because it was scarce, money was scarce. When we got it, it was something to treat ourselves with. And so you kind of have two things going where good savers are people who grew up with money and knew to act frugally because they knew it would produce more wealth later. And then there was those who had to act frugally because they didn't have the money. So when they did get it, it was there to splurge with.
Yeah,
and that was more me. That was more me, I think.
Yeah, but I will say a lot of it, probably the greater majority of that, comes down to education. Had someone explained to us at a young age that money is a tool like any other tool that you need to control, and that there are some times where you don't get much of it, and then you have to be careful. And there are times where you get a bit more of it, and then you have to be smart with what you do with the extra. It's, it's not that difficult a concept. It's just very hard to, like, it's not easy to do. It's simple, but it's not easy, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So for me, one of the personal goals now these holidays is I'm going to get my daughter to start doing some jobs at the tender age of 5. She'll get to do a job, and then she can earn $5 pocket money, and then we're going to sit down with it and break it down into little jars, and she'll put 10% to giving it away to charity or to tithes, 15% into savings, and sort of break and have a savings goal, and then she can spend the rest, which might be for her with $2.50 she might get to go buy a hot dog from Tuck Shop or something. But my goal is to immediately show her about breaking money down and putting some aside, and using it effectively in that way.
The one thing I would ask that you put into there is some kind of cost of life, whether it's you tax her money, and I'm serious.
No, I was gonna put a 20%, 20-cent home rent charge sort of thing.
Yep.
So that she's contributing to the household.
Some kind of tax to teach her that, because it's just so common that, teaching it at that young age where it's just understood that I have to pay tax because that's what we all do. But then, you might find over the years there's ways for you to, as you're getting better educated around ways to do it, you can start teaching her ways to reduce her tax and, that sort of thing. I mean, you can do it as a fun thing around the home, but definitely add some kind of cost of life to it.
Sorry, I just want to take note of acknowledging that we just talked about finding ways to reduce tax as a fun thing to do around the home. This doesn't sound... I think this conversation's gotten weird for me.
That's fine, man. I find it fun to not spend money, to have more of it for myself. That's fun.
Yeah, I can see that.
Now,
I can understand that.
It's more fun now that I actually have more control on it. I would never have understood that before. Because I just, the whole idea for me in my business, I've applied the Mike Michalowicz Profit First process. And that's just really reshaped the way that I think about things. We should do another whole chat on finances some other time. But, yeah. No, that's good. That's good. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. So, I mean, other than that, though, I think in terms of reading, I've been reading two lots of things, actually. I've been reading a few different things. I just finished Win Forever. Have you read that book?
Never heard of it.
Okay, it's written by Peter Carroll, who's the coach for the Seahawks. It's an NFL team. I'm not I like NFL. Since the year 2000, I think I followed the Patriots, but I don't have pay-per-view. I don't get to watch all the games. So I don't follow all the teams. I just catch up on the games that I get for free on home TV sometimes. But he was mentioned in the work by Elizabeth Duckworth, who wrote the book Grit. Have you heard of that one?
I have, yes.
Yeah, Grit's probably a bit more of a popular book, but she actually did a chapter on him because she went and worked with the Seahawks. I think for about a year or so, I'm not sure, at least for some time, about how they built Grit in the community, and she recommended his book, so I went and read it, and it's really good, actually. It's in terms of the idea of Win Forever, it isn't just about, it's not actually, you can win everything. It's about having an attitude of winning. Mindset. So it's always about, so it's always about always competing, and it's not this, if you think it, you can do it sort of stuff. It's more, if your attitude is to always compete, to win forever, these are the sorts of things you might do. So some of the stuff they do is the they do long runs around the oval. He tells one story where he says, he learnt this from another coach. The coach sent the team off for a run around the oval. They do this big long run, and for them that was like it. As an assistant coach, there was a chance to have a break, sit there and chat. And the head coach started yelling at him, "Peter, what are you doing?" He's like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Why aren't you watching them?" He's like, "They're running around an oval." And he sort of said, "Peter, every opportunity is a chance to see how they're performing and how they're doing." And I went, "Oh, wow." Like, actually, as a teacher, I get up and walk around the room and I check on things. But there are times where I switch off because, they're doing stuff that they're self-sufficient, they're fine. And I'm not necessarily taking that attitude of every opportunity is an opportunity to see how my students are doing, or every opportunity is a chance to see how my daughter's doing, that sort of thing. So,
Yeah.
I got a lot out of that. I'm also reading Replay, which is sorry, stop my camera. Classy. I've screwed that up now entirely. Excellent. Get a cop of that.
Yeah.
Yep. High budget.
Better?
Yes. Shut up. So Replay is looking at the history of gaming through video games through the software development instead of the hardware development, which a lot of other books do. So it's been good sitting there reliving a lot of that and actually finding a lot of connections, which I went, I didn't realize that half that, what the pathway that led from this to that to this. Yeah, that was a good book.
It is fascinating when you start looking at how things came to be. What things started as something and then they became something else because of a little bing that happened in the middle of doing that thing that just was never going to work. But this one thing as part of that did. It's fascinating.
Brilliant. Yeah. It's, I think that for me, it also highlights the fact that innovation, creativity just doesn't happen in a vacuum. Like it's really people building off of other people's stuff.
Yep.
Like even looking at just tonight, I was getting to the part where they're talking about World of Warcraft, and the absolute developments, and the circumstances that led to it, and some of the stuff that people had to endure. I say endure, but some of these things came pre-internet, so they were developing online communities pre-internet. A lot of these companies were developing servers as a way of trying to host communities, and people were paying like $20 an hour to be online playing these games, and they were dumping a lot of money into these games.
Wow. That's amazing, isn't it?
$20 an hour. It's huge. It's huge. Anyway, look, I think we've taken ages, actually. I think we've spent ages, so we might call it quits there.
We started going down the finance road.
I know. We should have seen that as a completely separate episode. That's something we should have done differently. But yeah. Well, look. Anyway, thanks for those who jumped in on the chat. Appreciate that. Thanks for those who have joined us for this, and hopefully we'll look forward to doing more of these in the future. I've been Dave Adams and co-hosting with
Paul Adams.
Yeah, I had someone go, "Are you two brothers?" And I went, "Yeah." And they went, "Well, you didn't mention it, but there was too many mannerisms that were the same for it not to be true."
That's
I went, oh yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right, look, we'll catch up next time. Until next time, I'm Dave Adams. We'll see you later. Thanks for watching.